Welcome back to another episode of the Adventures of a Disney Dad podcast. Chip and I are back for some fun Walt Disney World talk. I'm back from my family vacation. Chip is coaching football. We've got hurricanes, we've got weather, we've got closures. What is this, the 8th time ever, Chip, that Walt Disney World's been closed?
Yeah, it's like the 8th time, but like the 2nd time or 3rd time in like the last 3 years.
It's terrible. And if you're listening to this, it is post Milton. We're recording it pre Milton. Our thoughts, our prayers are with everybody, cast members, friends. We've got friends that are there at Disney right now. We've got podcast guests that are there at Disney right now. What we're thinking of all of you. I mean, this has been kind of nuts, Chip. Like seeing them like locking down like the carts strapping them to the ground. They're tying up the signs for rides and for like different areas that blow in the wind. They've got nets put around the lights. Have you seen this stuff? It's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
It's scary.
I've gotten some Universal stuff too on that. Like the Universal took signs up and then folded them and zip tied them. It's kind of crazy when you look at that. And like I said, we've got, you and I have a ton of friends, podcast friends that are down there. We've got friends we've met that are down there, so thoughts and prayers with them, family that we have down there. And but yeah, it's you know what? It's not like Disney didn't plan for this.
They did, in my opinion. Like nobody's perfect, right? But they did a darn good job in preparation and response for this one.
Did you see? Well, I'm just talking about in general. Like they understood when they built the park. If you notice, like they're pulling up little concrete circles that have clips on it so they can strap things down.
And
I'm like, I wouldn't have thought of that.
I think that's relatively new. I don't think that they've always had a lot of that stuff. But regardless, yes, number one, in terms of building and planning, I mean, when people from the water side areas evacuate, they go to Walt Disney World, right? Yep. And they get discounted rates. Disney has, they have generators, they have power, they have, all the stuff built for storms. They are prepared for, and that's great. The one thing that to me was like beautiful was how they responded in terms of treating their guests. For all the travel agents that are out there, God bless you, because there were days where it was like 5 or 6 hour holds to be able to get through. I mean, this is why you have a travel agent, right, Chip, so that you don't have to spend your time on the phone with Disney. But they waived all cancellation and change fees for Disney and Universal vacations. For Disney in particular, it's all the way through if you're checking in the 15th, which, like, I've got some guests that are checking in the 14th and 13th. I've got some that are there now, but like they were reaching out to me today. They're checking in the 14th and they're like, hey, should we cancel? Look, I wouldn't have gone down the day or two before this, but I think like once it passes through, Disney's going to be very quickly operating back at normal capacity. God willing that there's not like major damage or anything like that. But so I think if you're like after the 14th, 15th, you're probably going to have a relatively normal vacation, assuming there's not any catastrophic damage, which again, we're not being insensitive. Like we're praying for everybody there, but
it's one of those that like I wouldn't be scared to go down right now. Like I'd go down after the fact, like the 14th, 15th. And I'll also give Disney some props. I've read a couple things where like cast members that are working were allowed to invite their families to be there. If they needed to. And I think that says a lot as a company. I know I'm a teacher and I have the utmost respect for my principals and superintendents, and they would do the same thing in that type of situation. So I appreciate that kind of hospitality.
Yeah, I think the people that are going to be riding it out at Disney, obviously we can't say it enough. Our thoughts are with everybody, and we hope that everybody got through it okay by the time you're listening, and we can move on and hopefully get through this hurricane season, because I went down between the two. Like we got down the day after Helene went through, and you wouldn't have known a hurricane had come through when we got down there. But putting that aside, we're thinking of everybody, and I thought Disney and Universal overall handled it well. There's estimates that Disney, not including any damage, just from guest losses and things like that are going to lose upwards of $200 million from this storm. So it's not going to be a small thing, certainly, and the entire region is going to feel it. It's not good. But let's jump into one other thing that before we get into my trip and some of my takeaways from this recent vacation. The cake bake shop is finally opening at the Boardwalk, and I can't not talk about this. Okay. So for any of our listeners that haven't seen this, the cake bake shop is replacing it's an ESPN area that was right near the Boardwalk Resort on the Boardwalk. And it's been under construction for what seems like an eternity. I think it's genuinely been under construction since pre-COVID.
And I don't think it's been pre-COVID, but I'm going to say
it was pretty close.
I think it was 21 is when ESPN was unannounced. Yeah. It's longer than this podcast has been alive.
It's a gorgeous building, right? We've been able to see it. It's beautiful, but the menu just came out. And Chip, I think I can say with confidence, you and I are never going to eat there.
I would never eat a meal there. I'm very intrigued to go in and get a piece of cake or something like that. I would do that.
I don't know, man. A piece of cake for $25 is it better be some good cake. But let's touch on this for those that haven't seen it. The kids menu, including like a peanut butter and jelly, starts at $18.
Jeez.
A cheeseburger starts at $32.
Yeah, I saw that.
A soda, $8. And for context, like Disney soda is expensive, and it's like $4.49 or something. So you're talking about double the price of a soda at Disney. Then a glass of milk is $8. So if you want a glass of milk with that piece of cake, Chip, you're out of luck. All right. And what really bothers me about this is I talked a little bit about it on social media. There's one thing for like it being worth it, right? The Steakhouse 71 cheeseburger is arguably the best cheeseburger on property. It's $23, and that's not cheap. Steakhouse 71 in general is not cheap. So, for it to be another 30% markup or whatever is insane. And this restaurant, the Cake Bake Shop, is famous somewhat. It has some locations in Indianapolis. But even when you look at the locations in Indianapolis, these prices are like 30 or 40% higher than those. To me, I think there's something to be said for they're not going for the value and moderate resort crowd, right?
No, they're looking for the people that are staying at the Boardwalk or the beach club, or maybe they'll get somebody from Swan and Dolphin, but
you're not leaving the value resorts to go to the Cake Bake Shop. Like just from a logistics perspective, prices aside, you're not. There's no easy way to get there. So you're not going from All Star Sports to the Cake Bake Shop anyway. So for the people that are trying to save money on their vacation, I don't think that this restaurant really cares about us anyway. And I include myself in that category. But I don't know, man. I just think it's going to have a hard time being successful with prices like that.
I would never go to a restaurant named the Cake Bake Shop, whatever it is, and order a cheeseburger.
Man, I don't know, because you would go to Beaches and Cream and order that cheeseburger.
I would, but it's not.
Yeah.
But Beaches and Cream is a diner feel. I don't like you go in.
I feel like this place, when you go in, it is going to have a diner feel. You know what it reminds me of? For anybody that's ever been to Lebanon, Ohio, do you remember the place? Do you know what I'm talking about? The place on Broadway that's been there for an eternity and was in a bunch of movies.
The Golden Lamb.
Not the Golden Lamb, the place across the ice cream parlor. That's
yeah.
It reminds me a lot of that, where it's a higher end diner style restaurant. I think that this is going to have some of that feel, but I don't know. If you guys check it out, make sure you give us the feedback. Chip and I'll wave to you from the outside. But I do hope that it's worth it. I've said that from the beginning. I always want businesses, especially at Disney, to be successful.
And it's a great location. It's a great location for anybody staying in that resort area. The downfall of that spot is Epcot being right there. But if you're one of those people that's down there for a convention and you're not going into the parks, that's a great spot to go. I would try it out if I'm in that situation.
If I'm not especially if I'm not with my kids, maybe it's something I'd lean more towards. If I go down there with some adults. Maybe it's an option, but anyway, I want to talk about this trip that we just went on with our entire family. we stayed at the Riviera, and I'm going to basically run through some of my hot takes, Chip, and I want
Okay.
to get your thoughts on some of them. My most immediate is I think that most people that listen to this podcast or that follow me on social media know that I absolutely love the Riviera. I think Primo Piatto, the quick service there, is just absolutely fantastic. I had
Can,
never
can,
stayed there.
can I get a question on, and this, you and I have had this discussion. I want to know what your wife's initial thoughts were.
So that's where I'm going with this. That's where I'm
Okay.
going with
Okay.
this.
Okay. Okay.
I was so excited for my wife to stay at this resort, mostly
Yeah.
because to the extent that we ever bought DVC, to me, this would be the spot that we would do it because it's just like the hotel itself is more of our style. And I thought that the food was really great. The pools were really great. The location's really great. This could be a really good fit for us. It doesn't have a lot of in-your-face Disney theming, which is part of the reason why we love Coronado so much,
Yeah.
and part of the reason why I love the Riviera. So we get there, and like when we had a deluxe studio, so we had a small kitchenette and a queen bed and a pull-down queen, and then a pull-out twin. Right? It was way too small, man.
Okay.
Like, and this is an expensive room,
Yeah.
right? It is not a cheap room, and that room is tiny.
Now, my
It is
question with
tiny.
that, if you didn't have the pull down twin, is it still feel that small? I know that that twin does take up some room. I mean,
Well, we didn't pull it down much,
okay,
right? Like
just to sleep.
because
Okay.
we didn't even pull it down to sleep in because my kids slept with us and the two queens, like
Okay.
split amongst those two
Yeah.
beds. And it was just way too tight for us. And like when you especially when you had the second queen pulled down, like the first thing my wife said to me was no, 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 no. Like this is not gonna work. Like there's one closet, there's no drawers, like there's no dresser. So the only drawers are like underneath the bed and there's only four of them total. So
Yeah.
there's nowhere to like really unpack your stuff, which is like when you have three kids like we do, it's a huge problem, right? And so to me, like here's where we got off track. We got spoiled by that 2-bedroom villa at Saratoga.
You know what's that's exactly what I'm saying in my head is, Matt, you're not a studio family anymore. You've been spoiled by a 1 bedroom. That's a
But
DVC
but what
thing.
but
It's a
here's the
DVC
thing
thing.
though, Chip. The Saratoga 2-bedroom villa is like half the price
I
of
don't
the
disagree with
deluxe
you.
studio at
Yes,
Riviera. And so
I
that's where it
agree.
comes down to. Like when now that we've stayed at the Riviera and we've been in the resort, when you look at the pricing and you're like, I could have a 2-bedroom villa for less than 2 rooms, like probably half of what I pay for 2 rooms at the Riviera, which is what we had because my in-laws had a room across the hall. Or I could have 2 rooms at Coronado for like half in the tower, maybe three
Yeah.
quarters of what I'm paying for Riviera. I would rather stay at Grand Destino Tower in 2 rooms or at Saratoga in the 2-bedroom villa. And here's another reason why, Chip. We still had to use the bus a lot.
Yeah.
Like you think in your mind, like, oh, I'm gonna be on the Skyliner, I'm gonna be on the Skyliner all the time. If you're going to Magic Kingdom, you're not on the Skyliner.
Yeah.
You go to Animal Kingdom, you're not on the Skyliner.
Yeah.
You even if you park hop like we did, we went to Epcot and then we went to Magic Kingdom, or you go to Hollywood Studios and then you go to Magic Kingdom. You're still ending up on a bus. You're on a bus from Hollywood Studios to Magic Kingdom. You're on a bus from Magic Kingdom back to, like you don't get the one benefit I had was I got to go over to the Caribbean Beach stop and get my coffee every morning because our room was literally like if you're looking at the tangled wall and the Peter Pan mural
Yeah.
there, our room was the room on the other side of that wall.
That's awesome.
So we were
That is a prime spot to be if you're going to have a good spot there. That's
it was literally a like 3-minute walk onto the Skyliner, which was awesome, but we didn't use the Skyliner like as much as you think in your mind you're going to. Like we did have a couple times where we weren't going into a park and we just got on it and rode around, which was fun. But man, you still spend a lot of time on the buses and you're paying a significant premium. And then here's where it gets really bad for me. The food was terrible.
Really?
I was really. I mean, the pizza was still fantastic, but outside of that, I think the collective feel from my entire family was that the food was not good.
Wow.
Yeah,
Interesting.
which was very surprising. Like the burger wasn't great. I think there were we had multiple sandwiches, not great. A lot of it was like pre cooked and like reheated, which I think you kind of expect from a quick service. But I had not tried that stuff, so it was kind of surprising to me. There's a lot of like little things you expect from other being at other Disney resorts that they don't have. Like they don't have hash browns, for example, which
Huh.
doesn't really fit for the theme of
Yeah.
Riviera. So I understand it. But every other Disney resort you ever have, you've got like
The
the
potato
eggs, sausage
barrels.
links, yeah, and potato barrels, or some form of potatoes. So like the meals were options were a little bit different, which was fine overall, but it just wasn't that great. The opposite experience was when we went to Topolino's, which my hot take for that is Topolino's is now my number one character meal.
Nice.
Topolino's for breakfast.
Did you go for breakfast? That was my question. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't do characters for dinner. So we wanted to make sure we got to see Mickey as a character meal before we left, and I really wanted to try Topolino. So we did it on our checkout day at like 7:45 in the morning. We had to make two reservations because like it's really hard to get a reservation at Topolino's right now. I think, in my opinion, it's like in the top 3 or 4 most difficult reservations to get right now.
I
It's
agree.
like Space 220 and Topolino's are like right up there.
I've gotten Topolino's one time on the day of, if I've wanted it, and we just chose not to do it. But I've never seen it other than that.
Yeah, and so what we did is I split the reservations. I made one for my father-in-law for 4, one for my family for 4. And when we got there, they were within 5 minutes of each other. We told them that we were sitting together. They give you kind of like a spiel, and this is the same spiel you'll get like at any Disney
Everywhere.
restaurant where you do this. That they'll do their best to seat you together. They can't guarantee it. They'll try to get you as close as possible. That kind of thing. They sat us at the same table, so it was great. And the characters are awesome. The food was phenomenal. I had the steak and eggs, and it
Yeah.
was one of the best meals I've ever had at Disney. So
Really?
it was
Wow.
like I really felt like that character premium that you pay, I was getting my money's worth. And I
Okay.
think like that was the collective thought. What was really cool too is that the kids Mickey waffles had like the opportunity to, like you could paint, which was really cute. Like they had different syrups like strawberry, chocolate, I think it was hazelnut that they could paint on their plate with the waffle, which I thought was great. And the characters were awesome, which is kind of what you expect from Disney. So Topolino's Terrace gets an A+ from me all the way around. But like overall, the Riviera, I know like Jocelyn, who's been on the show, she's DVC at Riviera. She loves it. She's obsessed with it. I think for me, like I would have to just get a better deal on a bigger room
Well,
for me to justify it.
and that's where the whole DVC side is. Like the points there is ridiculous for us to stay there for a week. My family would be over 400 points for no, it'd be like 450 for a week in a 2 bedroom, I think, or it might even be more than that. Which we stayed our last trip at for 8 nights at Saratoga, and it was 268 points, which I mean that's almost 200 point differential, and I stayed a day longer than I would at Riviera. So
And so that, I mean, that's basically what I was getting at is like whether you look at it at DVC or like out of pocket on a discount, which is what I had. Like I had a 35% off discount. I think the price at Riviera is about double Saratoga,
yeah,
about. And to me, like it's just it's really hard to justify. So I mean, Saratoga, the dining might not be as good, but the pools are just as good.
yep,
You have the buses, and the buses can be a pain. I've experienced that. You've experienced that. But you do have the benefit of being right next to Disney Springs, which you can walk over and get Starbucks, get Gideon's, that kind of fun stuff. I really think, man, it's going to be hard for me to justify booking Riviera again unless the price is
now
right for
my
a bigger
question
room.
is, man, this is more of the adult side, and for adults that are listening, if it was you and your wife going, would you feel different?
Probably, I would probably enjoy the Riviera more because the room wouldn't feel as crowded, and I think that we would enjoy like Topolino's for dinner, and we would
Yeah.
enjoy that ambiance a little bit more. So I do think that like in a non-family trip, like adults only Riviera is definitely the option
Yeah.
because you don't need the space that you
Correct.
do at Saratoga. So that's a
And
really good point, Chip.
I'm gonna put a plug in. Old Key West has even bigger rooms than Saratoga. I know you've never stayed at Old Key West, but it might not be your vibe, but the rooms are even bigger, and it's going to be in the same ballpark of Saratoga as well.
Old Key West is overlooked, man. It is an overlooked resort. It's underappreciated. I agree with you on a lot of those fronts. I think that like to me, it just gets down to you kind of look at these things in groupings of where they're priced, right?
Yep.
Like you can always get Saratoga and Animal Kingdom Lodge cheaper than Riviera, and I'm like, I'd rather stay there. So I think that's my view on the Riviera. The other thing that we did that I really want to talk about because we just did a recent episode about this, and I kind of have to change my opinion, and that's VIP tours. Okay, and so I think overall, I think that you and I and Lauren felt like VIP tours are worth it in the right circumstances.
Yeah.
And for a group of adults who go to Disney a lot, maybe that's not the right circumstance. I think I feel the complete opposite when it comes to trips with kids. I would do it 100 times over if I can afford it. It's in the budget. It was absolutely phenomenal. We had Seth again, who was our tour guide last time. We've gotten to know. He's
Yeah. Awesome.
such a great human being,
He is.
and my kids loved him. Like Haley wanted to ride with him.
Who was holding?
I
I
mean,
saw something. Was he holding Benny's hand?
he was holding Landon's hand
Landon's
and
hand,
like
okay.
walking with Landon. He never got to the point where like he could carry Landon because Landon wasn't letting that happen.
Yeah.
But Landon was, walking with him, and like my daughter wanted to ride with him. My other son Bennett loved, like, I mean, everybody just loved him. He was such a hit. And like the background and the way that he was with the kids, showing the hidden Mickeys and like history in a way that everybody in the party was interested. I could not rave about the experience more. And it just made everything so seamless especially on a short trip. Like if we were there for like 8 or 9 days and we had plenty of park time to get the stuff done that we wanted to get done, maybe this wouldn't be the option.
Yeah.
But on a short trip where we were only there for 3 non-travel days, it was absolutely perfect because we did everything that we wanted to do. We finished all of Hollywood Studios in under 2 hours with the VIP guide.
Did you do did you do the 4 big ones or 5?
We did everything except Smuggler's Run.
Okay.
And that included when they did Rise of the Resistance, like the rest of my family. I took Landon with Seth and we went and met Olaf while they were doing Rise of the Resistance.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah. And there you can still do rider swap, and we got to do, like, my daughter got to ride Tron for the first time, and she got to sit in the back in the like more comfortable car for my wife and I. She loved it. Like just over the moon. For Haunted Mansion, you get to skip the lightning lane and the regular line for that one, so you get to actually go kind of backstage and straight onto the ride.
So
that was
did you skip stretching room?
No, you do the stretch. No, wait, we did skip the stretching room because I did the stretching room separately with them. Okay. You do skip the stretching room, and like my kids, for some reason, they love Haunted Mansion now. Like that's one of their favorite rides. Yeah. I hate the Haunted Mansion, so I don't know where they get it. I love it now that they love it, right?
Yeah.
But there were so many firsts that we did on this trip. And it also made the Halloween party way less stressful because we didn't feel like we had to ride Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Even though we did ride that one, like we didn't feel like we had to ride a bunch of other stuff because we knew we were going to be able to get to anything the kids wanted to do. We were going to be able to prioritize the next day.
Yeah.
And like, I want to make it clear, it's like a very unique experience. It's not cheap. It's expensive. So it's not for everybody. And I get that. But like, to me, if you can do it, if you can work it into the budget, especially if you're splitting it amongst 10 or 12 people or whatever the number is, it makes it a lot easier on the numbers. And man, I thought it was absolutely worth it.
And
I would
kind of
do it
going with
again.
that, if you're going with grandparents or something like that, and it's going to be one of those that we're maybe walking 7 miles a day, 12 miles a day. It's one of those things that, hey, you say, hey, mom and dad, grandma, grandpa, whomever, let's split this. Let's go in Christmas gifts, and we'll say, hey, let's do this. Number one, it's going to help you guys out. Number two, it'll be a once in a lifetime experience type of thing. But yeah,
And that's basically exactly what we
yeah,
did, right? Like my father-in-law, we knew going into it was having a really hard time with his knee. And we thought that, hey, like if we take it a little easier on the other days and we don't rush as much, we still ended up spending a lot of time in the parks, a lot of time walking, probably more than my wife would like. If she's listening, I'm sorry. But we thought that it would be a really good opportunity to basically split it amongst the different groups that were there, and it really turned out to be better than we could have imagined. We had one issue the entire time. We went on Soarin'. We got strapped in. My kids had never done Soarin', and then they evacuated us.
oh
And so we ended up wasting like a really significant amount of our VIP tour time, like probably over an hour, for a ride that we didn't get to ride because we otherwise probably wouldn't have gone to Epcot at all. We would have
yeah.
just done Hollywood Studios and Magic Kingdom.
So
But
they
we
never.
finished.
I was gonna say, did you get to Soarin' at all? I know that was one of those things we talked about.
We did the next day. We weren't
Okay.
planning to, but we ended up working it in the next day. And the VIP tour group gave us an anytime lightning lane for any ride at Hollywood Studios because of that Soarin' issue. So they were fantastic. They took care of us. Like it was
Nice.
great. But I think like if you really plan out what you're doing, there's so much you can get done. And it is very, very easy when you have little kids to be able to do. I think you can completely do two parks. You can bounce into a third if you want to, but you do spend a lot more of your travel time, stuff like that, driving into the different parks or whatever. But we basically, I mean, we covered so much, and we ate Casey's for dinner, so we made time for that, and it was phenomenal. So shout out to Seth. My
Yeah,
kids
Seth's a
love you.
good
You're
dude,
a
man.
saint. Yeah.
Hopefully he's doing well. Milton, he was good from Milton too. Like that was one of those people we were talking about. Hey, did you get or even the hub grass for the fireworks?
We were, and it was so great because when you do it's basically, if for anybody that's done the fireworks dessert party package, you're in the hub grass. When you're looking at the castle, you're on the right side, right by Tomorrowland Terrace. When you do the VIP tour, you're in the exact same spot of hub grass, but on the left side. So you're right in front of Casey's, and it is there's like way less people in there. So we
Yeah,
were actually able to sit down on the hub grass and watch the fireworks, which is something you don't really get with the fireworks dessert party because they kind of pack that in. And it was a great day,
it's
a great
awesome.
experience. And to Chip's like point of bringing that up, if you look at the fireworks dessert party as being like $160 to $180 a person, that takes out a big chunk of the savings or like the cost of the VIP tour. If you're talking about 10 people doing that, that's like, I don't know, half the tour or whatever,
Yeah,
just in that cost. So it does help kind of the math, the Disney math in your mind of some of that stuff. So I thought it was great. I do want to make sure we answer. We had two questions that I wanted to get answered today.
for
We're
sure.
only going to get to one because we're running long. But the question was, and we've had this question a lot. I think we touched on it a little bit on our last episode too, because Helene was coming at the
Yep.
time we recorded that one. Does this hurricane season and the experiences that you and I have had for the last two storms, Milton and Helene, does it change your view on September and October trips? Because I think both of us have been kind of big proponents of September and October pricing and weather and all that fun stuff. Chip, what do you think?
It doesn't really change my thoughts. The downfall would be if you're flying and cancellation and all of that, but normally it's just going to postpone you a day or two. Might happen in the middle of your trip or at the beginning or at the end of your trip, but like we said, Disney's closed for the first time or for the eighth time ever for a day, and I think two of them, at least two of them have happened. This one, and I think one a couple years ago or last year or something like that. It's not like if I'm going to be in there, I'm happy there. Everything is hurricane proof. They've got a plan. They're going to make sure you're safe. They're going to take care of any medical needs, anything like that. It's not, I mean, if you're going to go, go. I've got some friends that are on a cruise right now, and they've been delayed a couple days getting back into the port. They're not going to get in the port. They're supposed to get in today, I believe, and they are going to come in Friday or Saturday. So
yeah,
it's one of those that you take a chance anytime you go somewhere. You might get sick, and it ruins your vacation. I wouldn't be scared because, what is this? The third hurricane that's hit Florida, this part of Florida, really in the last 20 years where it's gone directly through Orlando, something like that.
yeah. I don't know the numbers, but I will tell you, like, never count on Disney, waiving cancellations and stuff like that when you're planning. But I think Disney is most likely going to do that kind of thing. But also, it makes you rethink the travel protection a little bit. It
Yeah.
also makes you rethink how you book your airlines, right? Like, are you booking, with a credit card that covers you if the flight gets canceled, or with an airline that covers you if the flight gets canceled? Like, how good is the airline about switching flights? That kind of thing. Like, I do think that I will think about those things a lot more. But that said, like, the idea of these trips being less expensive and less crowded is because it might rain, not necessarily that the hurricane itself is going to come
Yeah.
through and close the parks and stuff like that. It's more, are you going to spend 3 or 4 days of your vacation getting poured on for 2 or 3 hours? That is a risk you take, and that's a risk I'm willing to take for the prices that you get, because I would not have gotten the Riviera 35% off pretty much any other month of the year,
Well,
right?
and with that, like, if as long as there's no thunder and lightning, everything's going to stay open.
Sure,
Uh,
right.
they don't, like, if you go in the summer, you're going to get that storm and it's going to close things down. A lot of times it's just rain.
Hmm.
So take a
I think
couple extra
overall
pairs of shoes.
it doesn't change what I would do, or like what I would tell people, or the advice that I would give, or anything like that. I would tell them that it's the risk that going in, that this is why you're getting the good deal, is that you might get wet. And make sure that you're thinking through what you would do, or who you're booking things with as a just in case. And then you roll with whatever choices that you make at that point. And I think financially, for the most part, I think everybody's coming out of these things. Nobody's getting screwed by Disney or
Uh,
screwed by an airline or anything like that. So
well,
overall, I think they do right by people.
and going on the cruise side of it, I was on a trip and it was too windy to get into Castaway Key.
Mhm.
We looked forward to it. Guess what? You know what? They changed everything. They started adding more things, more characters, all this stuff. They've got a plan for everything. So
The
Disney's a
cruise
great
ones
company for
do
that.
bum me out big time when I see people that like can't get on a port and they basically spend the entire trip out to sea, stuff like that. Like, but
Yeah.
Disney still, they come through and they do right by you. They give you a significant discount on another cruise. You can't count on all these things, right? Like, they're never guaranteed, but it's historic practice what Disney does, and they take care of their guests. So,
Yes.
Chip, great episode. I appreciate you
Yeah, for
joining
sure.
me. We're going to wrap things up. As always, if you need a travel agent, I am a free travel agent. Absolutely no cost to you, no cost to you to quote. All the links to get a free quote are going to be in the show notes. I would love to help you plan your next Disney, Universal, Disney Cruise Line, Adventures by Disney, whatever the case may be. I'll help you plan it. Take all this stuff out of your hair. I'll spend all the time on the phone, all of that fun stuff. And most important, like, I've got Chip, I want to mention this too. Like, we've got some of our guests at the Magic for Less that I don't end up doing anything for. One of our good friends, Max, he books his
Yeah.
trips through me to support the podcast, support the business. I very much appreciate it. I book his trip, and then I'm there if he needs me, right? So I've got
Yes.
other guests that I'm booking their multi-pass, I'm booking their dining, the polar opposite of that, where I'm doing everything for them. We've got a mix for everything, whether you're a Disney veteran, you're a newbie. I can work with you at your pace, and I'm there if you need me. If something like Melton or Helene happens and throws a wrench in your trip. So please consider supporting the podcast, supporting the business. I very much appreciate it. It helps support everything that we do. Again, the links are going to be in the show notes. And until next time, we'll see you in the parks.
We'll see you when we see you.